Hi, it's Tamara, and in today's practice we'll focus on the feet and the legs. In terms of the feet, we'll focus specifically on the ball of the foot. So let me show you my foot. The band that goes from the inner to the outer border of the foot, just below the toes, this section here, and in particular the big toe mound, so the mound at the base of the big toe. I'm going to use a couple blocks for the practice. You may or may not need them. If you have them, feel free to grab them. Let's start on the back with the knees bent and the feet planted. So as you start to settle back and down into the mat, let's start with an expansive cycle of breaths, sort of reset to land into the practice, into the present moment. So allow your next inhale to be drawn in through the nose, fill up the body with the breath. And then exhale, open the mouth and sigh out the air. And then start to draw the awareness to the soles of the feet and the contact between the soles of the feet and the floor. And without feeling a need to adjust the feet, see if you can have a sense of the ball of each foot, that band from inner to outer border, making contact with the floor, as well as the heel of each foot. And just notice any sensations that might go along with that observation. And then if the eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open them. Hug your right knee into your chest. And straighten the right leg up to the ceiling. And you can reach for the back of the thigh if you can, or you can just allow your arms to be on either side of the body. Looking at the foot now, press the ball of the foot up to the ceiling. You'll feel the front of the foot probably stretch. And then do the opposite. Send the heel to the ceiling and the toes back towards the face. Ooh, there's some sensation. And then another time like that, press the ball of the foot up to the ceiling and just notice any effects on the leg below the foot. And the heel, toes pull back. You can stay here for the next 2 cycles or straighten the left leg along the floor. And then both feet now, balls of the feet, right pushing up, left pressing forward. And then flex the feet, heel press up, press forward on the left. And one more time, press point and flex, heel to the ceiling, heel to the back of the mat. Keep the flexed foot, release the leg if you have it, reach your arms on either side, and then as you exhale, lift your head, your shoulders, your upper back as you gaze towards the leg. And then a couple times in this position, point the feet, balls of the foot, of each foot pressing, and then flex, heels reaching. And then last time, and you might notice effects not just on the lower leg, but all the way up towards the thigh, maybe even in the hip area. Just noticing what you notice. Keep the feet flexed now. One more time, lift up any amount. And then lower the back, the head. Bend your right knee, bend your left. Hug the left knee into the left shoulder. Send the left foot to the ceiling, either interlacing behind the left thigh or releasing your arms to the floor. And a couple times press up through the ball of the foot, like you're trying to touch the ceiling with the ball of the foot. And now do the opposite, like you're trying to touch the ceiling with the heel. One more time like that, pressing and flexing. If there's enough going on, you can stay here or stretch the right leg along the floor. Couple more times, both feet, and flex. Imagine you're reaching through the heel, and now reach through the ball of each foot. And one more time, flex. Keep the flex position, curl up, reach your fingers towards the end of your mat, and then a couple more times, press the ball of the foot to the ceiling, to the back of the mat. And press the heel. One more round like that. Ooh, some heat building. And flex. Keep the flex position, lift up any amount. And then exhale, release, bend your left knee, bend your right. Roll to the side, come on up to all fours, and tuck your toes underneath you. And using the hands, press the hips towards the heels so you get a little more pressure through the balls of the feet, across the toes, and then release that, just rock forward slightly. And then one more time, start to press towards the feet, the tops of the feet, and then come back to tabletop. Now walk your hands back towards your knees. Lean your weight onto the balls of the feet as you climb your hands up onto your thighs. And you might not be able to stay here very long. It's quite an intense stretch on the feet. If you can't, you can bring your hands back down. Or if you're okay for another couple breaths, you can grab opposite elbows and reach the elbow points to the ceiling as you feel the reinforcement down through the balls of the feet and a lot of probably intense sensations that go along with that. Take another breath here. And now exhale, hands down, come to child's pose. Point your toes, let your hips sink back. Reach your hands to the front of the mat till your elbows are straight. And then climb your fingertips forward to draw space into the side body, the rib cage, as you let your hips settle back and down. Feel the tops of the toenails on the floor if you can. You might not feel all the toes. And just notice what makes contact in terms of the tops of the toes. And now press down through the lower leg to lift yourself up. Separate your big toes. Now tuck your toes one more time. And motivate the action from there. Send the weight back into the balls of the feet and then your hips lift and you find your way towards downward facing dog. In down dog, come high on the balls of the feet, lift your heels and then bend your knees quite a bit. And as you straighten your legs, send your heels back and down. As your heels move back and down, lift just your toes, but keep the balls of the feet on the floor. And then soften the toes back down to the floor. One more time, come high on the balls of the feet, bend your knees a lot. And then as you press down through the balls of the feet to straighten the legs, send your heels back and down. As your heels reach back and down, lift your toes up any amount. See if you can sort of spread the toes apart. And then soften them back down to the floor. Inhale, rock yourself to plank. And in plank, bring your awareness to the balls of the feet. Now, can you send your heels to the back of the mat? Can you simultaneously pull your chest to the front of the mat? So you're getting long from the center in two directions. Take a breath. And then hips up, downward facing dog. Again, like that. Inhale, rock forward. Your heels keep resisting back. Your chest pulls forward. Plank. And downward facing dog. Let's just do that one more time. Press your heels back. Send your thighs away from the floor as you pull your chest forward. You're long like a plank of wood. And then downward facing dog. Lift your heels, look up. And step or help your right foot up between your hands. You're in a low lunge. You can use the blocks here or come to your fingertips to create a little more space between the chest and the right thigh. Send your left heel to the back of the mat. And just notice any responsiveness you might feel in the front of the back thigh, the pelvic area. And now looking at your right foot, lift your right heel to hover. It doesn't even have to be high. And now can you press the balls of your feet apart? So your right foot presses forward, your left foot presses back. Notice any effects of that on the rest of the body above the feet. And then step to downward facing dog. Heels high, look forward. Step or help the left foot up. Take as much space as you need to, so if you need to move your left foot to the left, do that. If you need to bring your hands higher on the blocks, do that. Take space. Send the right heel to the back of the mat as the ball of the foot roots down. And now looking to your left foot, lift your left heel to hover. It doesn't even have to be high, just the tiniest amount. And now press the balls of the feet apart. Notice any effects. Can you now pull your chest forward just like you did in plank? And then step to downward facing dog. Lift your heels, look to the front of the mat and make your way there. Take an inhale to lift your chest up halfway. And as you press your hands into your shins, can you also press your shins into your hands? See if that helps to lengthen the front body. And then exhale, round down over the legs. Inhale up to standing as you reach up. And exhale, lower the arms. You're in mountain pose. Notice again the connection between the soles of the feet and the floor, just like when we were on the back. The balls of the feet, the heels. And then above that, ascend the crown of the head to the ceiling. See if you can bring in a sense of spaciousness and length in two directions. Use an inhale to reach your fingertips to the ceiling. As you exhale, fold over the legs. As you inhale, bring your hands to your shins. Press your legs into your hands into your legs. Take your hands next to your feet or towards the floor, wherever they land. And then step your feet back to plank and pause for a moment here. Balls of the feet press down. Thighs press away from the floor. So feel that tone activate at the front of the belly, the front body, and without losing that, so without letting the hips drop, send the heels to the back of the mat, but also pull your chest from the navel to the chest forward so you lengthen the front body without losing the tone you found in the lower body. And then drop the knees lower to your belly. Inhale, lift up. As you lift up to baby cobra, reach your big toes straight back. And then lower the chest down. Press through tabletop, come to downward facing dog. Lift your heels, come onto the balls of the feet. Look up and step or help your right foot up between your hands. Take a block to the outside of your right foot if you want to use that for triangle pose. Spin your back heel down. We'll start with warrior two. Windmill your left arm forward to bring you up, to face the long side of the mat. As you exhale, bend into the right knee, warrior two. Now, lift the right heel the tiniest amount. Again, feel the ball of the foot pressing down. Can you press your back foot to the back of the mat? And the ball of the right foot to the front of the mat? I can feel my thigh shaking. Take an exhale to stay here. And then push down into the ball of the foot, send the heel to the floor, and then press the floor away. Maintain that pressure down through the ball of the foot as you reach your front arm out and then either down to the block, the leg, or the floor outside the foot. Draw your awareness back to the ball of the front foot. Find that reinforcement. Exhale down through the feet. One more time, inhale to come up. And exhale, warrior two, this time keeping the whole foot on the floor. And now press your feet gently apart. Notice any effect that might have. Exhale to stay. Inhale to straighten up. Separate your heels, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale your chest for length towards the ceiling. And then exhale, fold. You can bring your hands to blocks or the floor beneath your shoulders. Take an extra breath here to lengthen your chest forward. Now walk your hands to the front foot. What was the front foot? So in my case, it's the right. And take your left hand to the outer right leg. Take your right hand to your waist. And now press your leg into your hand. Just like you did when you were coming up halfway in the forward fold. Press, press, press into the hand. Maybe your top arm reaches up, maybe not. Take a breath. Feel the pinky toe side of that foot down to the floor. And then release the leg, come back to center. Pivot to the front foot. Feel free to flow through or step to plank and downward facing dog. So you could come down to baby cobra or up dog. I'm going to flip around just so I stay facing. Take an inhale, come high on the balls of your feet and step your left foot up between your hands. Spin your right foot down. Windmill your right arm forward and up. And exhale into warrior two. Once in warrior two, lift the left heel to hover. And you might feel your thighs shake. A lot of pressure down through the ball of the front foot. Press your foot forward as you press your back foot back. And notice any effects that might have, maybe all the way up to the pelvis. Keep that reinforcement down through the ball of foot. Just drop the heel and then straighten the front knee. Keep that reinforcement down as with a straight leg, you reach out and up into triangle pose. So even though you're straight leg now, folding over the front leg, can you keep that reinforcement down through the ball of the front foot? Take an exhale to stay. Next exhale, come all the way up. And then bend into the front knee, warrior two, keeping the heel down now, but again, pressing the feet apart gently. As you sink into your legs, sink down into your feet, and then push down to lift up. One more time, parallel the feet. Hands to the waist, lift the chest up, and then hinge forward as you lower down. One more time, lift the chest up, come up halfway. And now pivot to the left foot, take your right hand to the outer left leg, your left hand to your waist. And then press into the right hand with your left leg. Maybe your left fingertips reach up, or you can leave them where they are. Press into the hand with the leg, press into the pinky toe side of the foot. And one more exhale as you unwind, come back to center. Shift to the front foot. Step yourself to plank and either flow through, coming to your belly or chaturanga, baby cobra or up dog, and ending up in downward facing dog. I'm going to flip around one more time. Adding a little dance. From downward facing dog, lift your heels. Look up, step up. Take your hands to blocks or to your waist, or they can stay down on the floor. I'm going to move towards the back of my mat as we shift forward into warrior three. Press off the ball of your back foot. Shift your hands forward, your blocks forward. Now send your heel to the back of the mat. Reach, reach, reach. And then point the foot and send the ball of the foot to the back of the mat. Reach, reach, reach. Now flex your foot one more time. Moving to half moon. Put more pressure down into your right hand as you turn your left toes open. Take your left hand to your waist. And then maybe your left fingertips reach up. If balance is okay, you can again lift the right heel to hover the tiniest amount and then lower it back down. Take one more breath in half moon, and then the toes turn down, the left hand comes down. If you're on blocks, you can bring your hands down. Either stay where you are in warrior three, or if you have a little more room to go, you can drop your head as you lift your left leg, and then point, send the ball of the foot back and up. And now reach the ball of the foot back, step back so you're in a low lunge. Lift your chest slightly, so you're still hovering in a diagonal lunge. Interlace the hands behind your back. Send your elbows towards one another, your knuckles down, and then lean inside the right leg as you lift your knuckles to the ceiling, let your head drop. Send the back heel back. Pressure down through the ball of the front foot. Take a breath. And then release the hands. Step directly to down dog or flow through. Plank, chaturanga or your belly, baby cobra or up dog, downward facing dog. Lift the heels, look up. Left foot steps up. Press off the ball of your back foot as you shift forward to warrior three. Hands under shoulders on the floor or the blocks. Flex your foot, so reach back through the right heel And then point. Send the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, to the back of the mat. One more time, flex your foot. Travel to half moon. Send your left hand down. Your right hand comes to your waist. As you turn your right toes open, your chest open. Maybe your right fingertips up to the ceiling. Send your right heel back, back, back. Notice any effect that might have on the leg. And then if balance is okay, lift the left heel the tiniest bits. Shift the weight into the ball of the foot and then lower it back down. Warrior 3 again, the toes come down, your hand comes down. Either stay here reaching back through the heel or the ball of the foot, or lower the hands and walk them towards your standing foot as you reach your aerial leg back and up. Send the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, up towards the ceiling or to wherever it's directed. And then reach your foot to the back of the mat. You're in a low lunge. Lift your chest enough that you can interlace behind your low back. Then lower the chest so you're in a diagonal from the crown of the head to the back heel. Open your shoulders, sending them towards one another, towards the back. And then lean forward inside the left leg. Feel free to take your left foot wider. Send your right heel back. Take a breath. Lift your chest, lower your hands. Step to down dog or come through your vinyasa if you like. Couple more breaths before we drop down to the legs, the knees. One more big inhale to push back. Send your heels back and down. And then exhale, drop your knees down. Have a block handy as you cross your ankles. Sit behind your feet. Come onto your back where we started. And then turn your palms down so you can use the arms pressing down to help you with this next thing we'll play with. So you can watch for a moment, lift your legs, and as you push down, you're going to pike your hips up. And imagine someone has you by the ankles lifting you straight up. Inevitably, you will have to go back in order to get up a little bit, but try not to use momentum. Just see if you can lift the hips the tiniest amount by imagining that you're plugging the big toe mounds or the ball of the foot into the ceiling or making contact with the ball of the foot and the ceiling above you. We'll use the arms pressing down to help lift the hips up. We'll lift up on the exhale, so take an inhale to stay here. As you exhale, push down with the arms, lift up, whoosh, and then try to slowly come down. It's really challenging. So I'm going to try to slow my descent a little bit by using the arms. Take an inhale to stay, and then exhale, lift up, and then slowly lower down through the spine as slow as you can. Take an inhale to stay, and then lift up, and slowly lower down. And one more time. Inhale to stay. Exhale, lift up. And slowly lower down. You might get a cramp in the back of your arm, the triceps. And then drop your feet to the floor. This time with the feet on the floor, let's come to bridge pose. So press down with the arms again, lift up with the hips. Feel free to interlace here and roll onto your outer upper arms or keep the arms straight so you can press down. Now, feel free to stay here or draw your right knee to your right shoulder. Send your right foot to the ceiling and then reach. Reach through the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, like the big toe mound could touch the ceiling above you. Take a breath and then lower the foot. Hug your left or draw your left knee into your shoulder and then send the foot to the ceiling. And now reach like you could touch the ceiling with the ball of the foot. Feel the weight come off the arms as you reach through the leg and then lower it down. If you have the interlace, release your arms. Come on down to your back. Now lift your hips again. If you have a block, you can slide it under your hips at the low height. If you don't, you can just stay where you are. And draw the knees up, and then one more time, the feet up to the ceiling. And allow the knees to be as bent as is comfortable. So not having strain on the backs of the legs this time, but rather letting the legs just hang out in space. And then maybe circle the ankles to the right. Maybe circle them to the left. And then shake out the legs so the feet flop, flop, flop. Letting the effort go. And then bringing them to stillness. Letting them float for a few moments. Now you could also skip the final section here and bring yourself to a wall and just have a wall behind the legs. Do legs up the wall. Or you could rest them on a chair. So let's bring the feet back down. Lift the block. Move it off to the side. And just for a few breaths, let's bring the soles of the feet together and the knees open. So this is bound angle pose. You can use blocks to support you under the legs. So that might help to induce more release in the inner thighs and the hips. Again, we won't be here long. Just want to take this moment to feel the contact between the feet. And as you draw your awareness there, just noticing any effects that might have on the rest of your body, the experience of the pose. And maybe rock the head side to side if there's any tension in the neck. And feel free to stay here longer or stretch your legs out as wide as the mat so the legs can flop open naturally as you make your way into final resting pose. And again, you could have your legs up on a chair. You could flip around and put your legs up a wall if you have a full wall nearby. And we'll just spend a few moments here connecting the awareness to the soles of the feet again. And just noticing what you notice. And then travel the awareness up to the lower leg. Any sensations that might be drawing your attention. And just notice them. And travel the awareness up to the thigh area, the hip area, the pelvis. And as you allow the breath to be free and easy, travel your awareness up to the ribcage area, the chest area, the shoulder area. Notice any movements that are a result of the breath. Moving in and out. And any sensations that might go along with those movements. Travel your awareness to the base of the neck, the front of the throat. And the face area and the back of the head. Maybe even the crown of the head. And then as you go from the back of the head back down to the heels, just notice all the areas that make contact with the floor beneath you, holding you up. And feeling free to stay here, let the video play out. Or start to deepen the breath, maybe bring in a stretch as we shift out of the resting pose. Bend your knees, plant your feet. And roll to the side and come on up. And taking a final moment here just to notice what you notice. What's showing up. Could be in the form of thoughts, sensations, sounds, anything that you can observe. And then feel free to leave the hands resting in the lap, or you can bring them together at the center of the chest. Let's take a moment to just drop the chin as a way to acknowledge your own practice, the time you're spent on the practice, the time and space you have for the practice. Let's close with an expansive cycle of breaths. A big inhale through the nose to fill up, and a big exhale out the mouth to let it go. Thank you for practicing with me. I hope you find it useful. Be well.